The Unsinkable Voyage. Loss of a Titan. The Construction, Launching, and Sea Trials. By Benedict Rome-Cotila. Drawings by Elanga Lenga, Merrick Saleh, and Keith Anthony O'Sullivan. RMS Titanic is an ocean liner sank on its maiden voyage on April 14 to April 15, 1912. 1,500 died, 706 people survived. Second in line of the Olympic class, Titanic was launched on May 31, 1911, and her commissioning was slightly delayed due to ongoing repairs of Olympic. The ship left the port of Southampton April 10, 1912 for her maiden voyage, narrowly avoiding a collision with SS New York, a ship moored in the port pulled by the propellers of Titanic. After a stopover at Cherbourg, France and another in Queenstown, Ireland, she sailed into the Atlantic with 2,200 passengers and crew on board, under the command of Captain Edward J. Smith, headed for New York City. The crossing took place without major incident until Sunday, April 14 at 23:40. Titanic struck an iceberg at 41 degrees 46 minutes north, 50 degrees 14 minutes west, while sailing about 400 miles south of the Grand Banks of Newfoundland at 11:40 p.m. ship's time. The strike and the resulting shock sheared the rivets, thus opening a leak in the hull below the waterline. This caused the first 5 compartments to be flooded, with flooding in a 6th compartment controlled by the pumps. The ship could only stay afloat with 4 compartments flooded. Titanic sank 2 hours and 40 minutes after the collision. There were not enough lifeboats for all the passengers, and the nearest responding ship, RMS Carpathia, being too far away, 1,514 of the 2,224 people on board died, making it one of the deadliest peacetime maritime disasters in history. July 29, 1908. The design for the Titanic was approved. The construction of Titanic began on March 31, 1909. When designer James Andrews laid the first keel plate in the Harland and Wolff shipyards, Belfast, Ireland. Titanic's sister ship, the Olympic, had begun some 3 months earlier, and the two ships were essentially constructed side by over 15,000 workers. Constructing the Titanic would cost 8 employees their life working on such a mammoth and often dangerous construction site. When Titanic was designed, no facilities existed to build or berth such a large ship. At the peak of construction, Harland and Wolff shipyard employed approximately 14,000 men to build the enormous ships. It took over 1 year to fully frame the Titanic. Large steel plates were then riveted to the frame. It took more than 3 million rivets to hold the steel in place. Harland and Wolff set about building the 2 new slipways required, having demolished 3 smaller ones to make room. They constructed 2 huge gantries, with moving cranes and lifts, called the aero gantries. They also purchased a massive 200-ton floating crane, which was used to lift the huge boilers and other mechanical items into place on the ships. The huge structures of Olympic and Titanic could be seen across most of Belfast City, shrouded by the even larger gantries in which they were constructed. The gantries. A gantry is a crane system that maneuvers over the top of a ship in the dockyard, carrying materials and workers to the heights and depths of building ships. The Titanic's 220-foot gantries were custom-built to meet the needs of such a monstrous vessel, and can be seen here. 24 double-story Scotch-class boilers. There were a further 5 single-story boilers also. The boilers. To power the largest movable structure ever made would require an enormous power source, and in the early 1900s that source was coal-powered steam. There were 24 double-ended Scotch-class boilers, and a further 5 single-ended boilers, which were housed in 6 boiler rooms. The double-ended boilers measured 20 feet long, with a diameter of 15 feet 9 inches, and contained 6 coal-burning furnaces. The single-ended boilers were 11 feet 9 inches long with the same diameter. With all boilers firing, the Titanic produced around 46,000 horsepower. I cannot imagine any condition which would cause a ship to founder.